NW Sportscast here with the Mariners postgame. Today the Mariners lost 6-5. Rough way to lose, and especially the nature that it ended. Obviously, if you watched the game, you would know this. Andres Munoz, with a tie game in the bottom of the ninth, walked 3 guys in a row and then got a strikeout, but then he walked the winning run. So Munoz, unfortunately, he blew it. It wouldn't have been a save. It would have been a hold. And instead, it's a loss. And so Andres Munoz is going to take the loss. Tough game. Let's talk about it. Let's go through the early innings. The Mariners honestly looked lifeless. At first, I was worried that we were going to lay another egg like we had in the game on Wednesday against the Guardians, because we were down 3-0. It was the 5th inning, and the Mariners had struck out 8 times through the first 5 innings. Julio had struck out twice. Polanco had a strikeout. Cal had a strikeout. Josh Rojas and Dom Canzone both had strikeouts. I mean, it was just every single person in the lineup was failing. It was really bad. And then in the 6th inning, all of a sudden, things start to happen. And it wasn't even necessarily that we were making great contact, but it was that we were just not being terrible. Like, inning starts, J.P. Crawford singles. Okay, solid. It was a ground ball into left field. Then Julio gets hit by a pitch. Luck. Jorge Polanco, of course, popped out. But then Mitch Haniger drives home JP with an RBI single. Then we had a wild pitch that sent Julio to third. And then Mitch Garver with a sac fly. Mitch Haniger advanced again from there. And then Cal Raleigh with the RBI single as well. And so Mariners turn out to score 3 runs off of what was only 2 hits. It was 2 hits and a hit by pitch. 3 hits. 3 singles and a hit batter. And the Mariners have scored 3 runs. And then it was tied 3-3. But unfortunately, Logan Gilbert was not able to finish out his start cleanly. He gave up a home run against Christian Yelich in the 6th inning. So Logan Gilbert's final stat line on the day, 5 2/3. He allowed 4 runs off of 5 hits and a walk, 7 strikeouts, and he did allow 3 home runs. And that is obviously not what you want to see from Gilbert. It is something he has struggled with throughout his entire career. He's been a guy who oftentimes will give up home runs in tough spots. That's similar to Castillo as well in that regards. The guys, Willie Adames had a home run. And then some guy named Dunn, I believe his name is Oliver Dunn. Never even heard of him. He hit a home run. And Christian Yelich, former MVP, hit his 3rd home run of the season. Yelich is off to a really nice start. So it's hard to be mad about giving up the home run to Yelich. It's a little more annoying that some guy named Dunn, who I've never heard of, cracked a home run. But either way, Mariners, they were down 4-3. Then it comes to the 8th inning. In comes Ryan Stanek. He started off looking really good. This is after Cody Bolton threw an inning and a half scoreless, so Bolton lowers his ERA to 3. But then you bring in Ryan Stanek. And Stanek, it was just a big bummer for him. I mean, Stanek started off looking really strong, had a strikeout. Then all of a sudden, what happens? He gives up 3 hits and gives up another run. So now it was 5-3. And the Mariners had pinch hit at this point for all 3 of their bottom of the order. So instead of having Raley, Canzone, and Rojas, which is not necessarily a terrible trio coming up to the plate, instead the Mariners had Dylan Moore, then Samad Taylor, who made his debut today, filling in for Ty France, who is on paternity leave. So Samad Taylor would be second up, and then Luis Urias third up. So at that point, Dylan Moore had 1 hit on the season. Samad Taylor was 0 for 1 in the season. And Luis Urias has also 1 hit on the season. So you're like, man, our 3 worst hitters coming up. There's no way we're going to do anything with this, right? Wrong. They get 3 hits in a row. Dylan Moore cracks a leadoff single into center field. Then comes Samad Taylor, and he cracks his first hit as a Seattle Mariner. Not his first hit of his career. He did have a couple with the Royals last year, but his first hit as a Mariner in his Mariners debut. And now, today will begin the can Samad Taylor challenge Luis Urias for a roster spot conversation. But Luis Urias must have been feeling the pressure because with nobody out and 2 on, Urias doubled off the wall And so Dylan Moore scored, and now it's 5-4. So you're thinking, okay, all of a sudden we might win this. We might mess around and win this thing because we've got runners at second and third. We've got top of the order coming up, and we're down by 1. And the Brewers, right, their closer Devin Williams, he's out for until probably July. So their closer is this guy named Uribe, who was not locating well. But of course the top of the order had to spoil it. JP had the weakest ground ball. JP swings at the first pitch and grounds out to the pitcher. And Samad Taylor was held. So now there's 1 out, 2 on, down by 1. Okay. And up comes Julio. And you're like holding your breath, right? Because Julio is a guy who has, in his career, he tends to sometimes try to do too much in big moments, and it leads to strikeouts. And to his credit, Julio did not do that. He saw a pitch he liked, first pitch, swung at it, made contact, he grounded out, but it was a fielder's choice RBI, and now it's a tie game. So Julio got the job done. Then Polanco walked, so now we've got still 2 on, 2 outs. Unfortunately, Mitch Haniger was not able to give us the lead. Haniger already did have that 1 RBI, but he was not able to get that second RBI of the game for him. So Mariners tied 5-5, and you're like, okay, we can do this. We can do this. We got Andres Munoz coming in to pitch the 9th. It's going to be okay. And, of course, what does Munoz do? Walk, strikeout, walk. He walked the bases loaded, and then he walked home the winning run. And the Brewers walk it off with a walk-off walk. Sal Frelick scores the winning run, and William Contreras was the guy who got the winning walk RBI. Uribe ends up as the winning pitcher. And, just a really, really bad way to end that game, considering that this was probably, in my opinion, the second best game the Mariners have played this season. I think the best was probably Game 1 against Cleveland when we beat them 5-4. But I honestly think this is probably the second best game that we've seen this team play. I mean, they looked competitive. They actually tried, especially late in the game. I believe everyone got on base. No, not everyone. Okay, I'm looking at the stats now. So everyone besides Julio didn't get on base, and Luke Raley, and Dominic Canzone, and Josh Rojas. So the trio of Raley, Canzone, and Rojas combined to go 0-for-6, and Julio went 0-for-4, dropping his batting average to 161. But we did have some standout players, so let's talk about who would be player of the game. I think right off the bat, J.P. Crawford is a candidate. He went 1-for-4. He also walked. He scored the first run of the game. He didn't really do anything in the 9th, though, but he reached base twice, scored a run. So I think he's got to be a candidate for that. And then I think you can throw Jorge Polanco into that category. He went 1-for-4 with a walk. However, didn't score, didn't get any runs batted in. So I think I would have to go with Crawford over him. Mitch went 1-for-5 with an RBI and a run scored, but 1-for-5, not great. Mitch Garver went 1-for-2. Cal Raleigh went 1-for-4 with a walk. Cal went 1-for-4 with an RBI and 2 strikeouts for him. The Mariners, by the way, we ended up striking out 10 times, so we've still struck out 8 or more times in every single one of our games. That we'd love for that to change eventually. But 10 is not as bad as 12. You could say, Samad and Dylan Moore and Luis all had really big at bats in the 9th. And Cody Bolton was the only pitcher who didn't give up any runs. I think I want to go with JP. I think JP is going to be my player of the game just because he did reach base twice, and he was the only guy. Him and Polanco were the only guys who reached base twice for us today. And JP, he got it all going, right? He got the 6th inning started off with that single, and he scored the first run of the game. So I think I'm gonna give player of the game today to JP Crawford. I think you could definitely argue, though, if you wanted to make an argument for Urias for that RBI double, or for Samad Taylor just on the merits of getting his first hit and then scoring the tying run, you could make that argument as well. But I'm gonna give it to JP with Urias and Taylor coming in 2nd and 3rd. But yeah, I guess it's time for my 3 positives today. Positive number 1, I'm going to say, is the fact that our offense actually showed fight. I think that it's really important, even if we're not winning, I want to see us look competitive, right? So yeah, that's definitely my first kind of big positive is The offense showed fight. They battled out. My second positive is the fact that we scored 5 runs without hitting a home run. I think that's huge because it speaks to the fact that we actually strung together some hits, which is something that we haven't really been able to do this season. It's normally, when we have scored, it's been off the long ball, and we only have 4 home runs this season, so it's not like we're getting a whole lot of those. So it's really nice to see some rallies, we got some hits in a row. That this is cool. This is this is what winning teams do. This is what winning baseball is supposed to feel like, and that's good, right? That's really very good, and it's great that that's happening for us. Positive number 3, I'm gonna say Samad Taylor and Luis Urias. I think the bottom of the order, and I'll throw Dylan Moore in as well. That's positive number 3 because seeing them string together those hits in the 9th inning makes me so happy because the bottom of the order is producing, right? I mean, Rojas looks bad today, but he's been hitting well. Haniger is playing well. Cal Raleigh has been on a roll lately. And now, you see Samad, Luis, and Dylan all checking in with base hits. The problem with this team continues to be that the top 3 guys in your lineup, JP Julio and Jorge Polanco, have all stunk for the first 8 games. And it's we're only 8 games into the season. I get it, but we are 1/20th into the season now. So if we can't keep having 3 and 5 stretches of 8 games, that's gonna spiral pretty quick, right? What are we on pace for? We're on pace for 61. We're on pace to have a record of 61 and 91. Obviously, that we know that's not gonna happen. The Mariners are gonna be better than that, but the top of the order has to get better because the rest of the lineup is starting to pull the weight. We're seeing Haniger, Rojas, and Cal Raleigh are your 3 best hitters. They're hitting 4, 6, and 9. You're seeing Luke Raley have good at bats. You're seeing Dylan Moore have good at bats. Dylan Moore's hitting 200. That's better than Julio, Polanco, Garver. Dylan Moore is actually a productive hitter right now. He's hitting the ball well. Samad Taylor in his debut as a Mariner goes 1 for 2, scores the game-tying run in the 9th inning. You're seeing the other guys do it. Now let's go, top of the lineup. Now is your time to shine. As well as Canzone. Canzone looked pretty bad today. He went 0 for 2 and really kind of looked silly striking out. So did Rojas, to be fair. But, the Paul Sewald trade did not look great for us today, guys. We had a blown save, and we had Canzone and Rojas both looking terrible at the plate. Not to say that we shouldn't have traded Paul, but I'm just saying today specifically it didn't look great. Actually, I'm pulling up the Arizona game right now. I think Paul Sewald may have blown a save for them today. Maybe not. No. Okay, I'm wrong. Paul Sewald did not pitch today for the Diamondbacks. They lost in extras. By the way, Jared Kelenic for the Braves against the Diamondbacks had a pinch hit RBI double to tie the game, and Suarez went 2 for 5 while Ketel Marte homered. So a lot of former Mariners doing good things in the Braves versus Diamondbacks game, but that's besides the point. So there's my three positives are: number 1, the offense fought back; number 2, we scored without needing home runs; and number 3, bottom of the order in the 9th inning looked really solid. Those are my positives. Let's see, do I have anything else? I guess I'll just give a quick standings update. The Mariners currently are 3-5. They are 3rd place in the American League West. They are 2.5 games behind Texas. The Angels are in 2nd, and then we are ahead of the Astros and A's. And then in the wild card race, we are tied with Tampa in 8th place. We are behind the Angels. We're behind the Orioles. We are behind the Blue Jays. We are behind the who else? We're behind a lot of teams. We're behind the Red Sox. We're behind the Guardians. We are behind the Twins, I believe, and we're behind, I think, the Tigers, maybe? We're behind a lot of teams in the wild card race. That's the point. We're tied for 8th, and we are, again, 2.5 games back. We are 2.5 games behind Baltimore, who currently occupies that number 3 wild card, whereas we would be in 11th place overall in the American League, and we would be in 8th place in the wild card. So, yeah, that's where we're sitting. In 2.5 games is not that big of a hole. We can definitely come back from that. But But the fact that, we're already in a hole does speak to, this seems like this happens often. And it's like, last year we were 4-4 at this point. In 2022, we were 5-3. In 2021, we were 3-5. So we're right kind of in the mix. And I think what I would like to see is, as long as we win one of the next 2 games this weekend, if we can go 4-6 in the first 10 games and, not get swept, basically. As long as we don't get swept, I'm not going to really change anything. I think a sweep would be tough. If you fall to 3-7 this early and you get swept, that would not bode well. And that might be when I start to alter my prediction of playoffs. I don't know. But no, I think as long as you don't get swept, if you go 4-6, and then you've got I believe Toronto coming up, we should be okay. We're gonna be okay. The bats are gonna come. The top of the lineup is gonna start hitting. Like we have to believe that. Like Julio and JP and Polanco, who Polanco has a 4-game hitting streak. As much as it seems like he's been terrible, he does have a 4-game hitting streak, and those 3 guys are not going to be your worst 3 hitters on the team all season long. And in the meantime, I like what I'm seeing from other guys. The pitching, you have to hope that improves as well. And Gilbert right now has been probably the most impressive of the 5 to me, and I believe he does have the lowest ERA of the 5. Kirby looked really good in his first game and then fell apart in his second. So, hopefully Castillo and Kirby bounce back. Gilbert keeps pitching well. And then, Bryce Miller, I'm interested to see him tomorrow and see what he has to bring to the table. But yeah, the Mariners right now, 3-5. And that's about it. That's my take on this game. So with that being said, guys, this has been the NW Sportscast. If you like what you see, if you like this format of doing a quick post-game show after the game, let me know down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, go Mariners.